All right, welcome everybody to our After Hours live stream.
Welcome.
We are going to be having some great conversation with some folks from the Entrepreneurship Center in Charleston, South Carolina, and some founders that just wrapped up just hours ago, a little less than an hour or so ago, their final pitch for their demo days. We're really excited to start talking to them. And Richard's going to tell you a little bit about Yoink Media and what we do here.
Thanks, Audra. Welcome to a Yoink Media live broadcast. Yoink Media was started by a group of really awesome community and ecosystem builders from all over the US that came together to tell stories around entrepreneurship that need to be told to inspire and engage and really empower entrepreneurs all over the world. So we believe in the power of storytelling and getting the stories out there about what entrepreneurship is really like and how it's not all ivory tower and Silicon Valley myth and legend. And by telling these stories, we hope to connect people from all over the world and tell them that they're not alone so they can start and grow their businesses and their companies with everyone else.
Absolutely. So we are going to be bringing on the executive director of the Harbor Entrepreneurship Center, and then 3 of the founding companies, and actually the winners of today's pitch event. So we're going to bring all of them to the stage, and we'll introduce you to them as they get here.
All right. Here's Daniel. And we're going to bring up Amanda, Ben and Scott, and Ross. Hey, guys.
Awesome. So welcome to the stream. So we've got Daniel, who's the executive director of Harbor. We've got Ross Rhodes with the Rook. We've got Ben and Ethan here from Evolve 3D, and then Amanda from Bag Valet. So we like to keep things a little bit fun and casual, sort of get to know everybody here in the stream. So we're just going to kick it off with an icebreaker event. And is an icebreaker something you guys are familiar with?
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
They break ice all the time.
I just have to ask them.
Yeah. So little intimate knowledge of this particular cohort. I know icebreakers are a very common thing before they start their curriculum, just to build camaraderie and just put everybody at ease. So everybody's going to be answering the same question today, and you can answer one of 2 questions. So in the past year, I want you to share with me the moment that you laughed the hardest or you were the most scared. So like that oh shoot moment where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So we're going to kick it off. I'm going to start with Ross. And then Ross, what you're going to do is you're going to answer one of those 2 questions, and then you're going to popcorn it to somebody else. So when you're done, just pick somebody on screen, and then they'll go next.
Absolutely. I laughed probably the hardest upon entry into the Harbor when I found out Daniel would be teaching us. No, I'm kidding. I would say I don't have an answer for either of those, unfortunately. That's a really good icebreaker. Laughed the hardest, probably using my product and identifying late night some new and interesting marketing techniques.
Yeah, way to bring in the product demo, buddy.
Hey, well done.
One trick pony.
All right, Ross, shoot it over to somebody else.
Popcorn it.
Let's hear it, Ben.
All right. I'm the opposite. I would say the most scared when we heard Dan was teaching it.
Lots of love for Daniel Stern.
Daniel, all the emotions.
I'm kidding. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be where we are without Dan. He's awesome. That's a really hard question. My car broke down while I was on the interstate over the last year. That was pretty scary. So I just pulled it, but we pulled it off to the side of the road. We were fine. Got it towed. Got it fixed.
I've been there, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know if Ethan.
All right. What about you, Ethan?
I'm the opposite. I would say the most scared when we heard it. Do you have anything?
Not in the last year, but probably the most scared I've ever been was going to the first day of the Citadel, Military College, South Carolina. So that was pretty scary.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
That seems to be a very appropriate answer.
Most scared.
Scared. I've never been a student at the Citadel, but I can relate to that a little bit. I understand. All right. So, Ethan, go ahead and pick somebody else. Popcorn it over.
Let's see, Amanda.
Yeah, so I would have to say in the last year, the most scared I've been was when the whole COVID situation broke out, and how that was going to impact my business really kind of put me in my place and made me look at the bigger picture. I think I might have been laughing, crying, all in the same breath.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get into talking about that a little bit more later on in the stream, but definitely very relatable as well.
How would that?
All right, Daniel, what you got for us, bud?
I'm going to keep this G rated. But with an almost 2-year-old, you have a ton of very funny and also very scary moments. I would say that, but I'll stick with the funny. The funniest thing that happened in the past year probably happened in the past 2 weeks. I came in and my son was screaming in his crib, and I won't say what he had painted all over the walls and his bed and the crib, but it was so much that it was comical. Like, you're horrified, but it's also the funniest thing you've ever seen. And it made for a long morning, that's for sure.
Yeah, like you want to take some pictures that you can share and then clean it up.
My wife up and said, "You got to come see this. You got to come see this."
All right, that's an interesting one to wrap up on. All right, well, I tell you what, we are going to drop the founders backstage for a little bit and spend a little time talking to Daniel here of Harbor. So Daniel, you and Richard actually have something in common in the fact that both you and Richard have run some accelerator programs. So Richard's gonna start off asking you some questions, and we'll try to fill in some gaps for some folks that might not be super familiar with what an entrepreneurship center does or what an accelerator is. So Richard, take it away.
Sure, Daniel, let's start with an easy one. Some folks watching may not know the difference between an accelerator program and an incubator program. Can you tell us what in your head the difference is and what an accelerator program really does for the companies going through it?
You know, I would say that the difference, to my mind, between the two, the accelerator is more of a, where is the business, where is it trying to go, and how can we streamline it and get it there in the fastest amount of time. Whereas an incubator is more of a static environment that something is in and has growth pieces around it at all times.
Yeah,
that growth can take its natural course.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Harbor, where you guys are located, what you guys do, the programs that you put on, the types of companies that you support.
Sure. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit located in Charleston, South Carolina. Our shared workspace is located in downtown Charleston, right near MUSC off of Calhoun Street. And our mission is to create collision in the entrepreneurship community here in the Low Country. And we do that through programming. We run a couple of different programs. One is called Forum. It's a small group mastermind type program with entrepreneurs that have certain thresholds of revenue. They meet monthly here, bang through issues that they're going through, and work through the, using each other's experience. We have our Accelerator. We do 2 of those a year. It's a business agnostic program. We're looking for companies that are scalable, innovative, have the ability to execute their vision, and that we have the resources to help them. And then we also run a coding school where we train junior developers in JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And obviously do happy hours and special events and things like that.
Awesome. How do people get involved with Harbor? If I'm an entrepreneur in Charleston, I'm looking for help, or I just moved to the area and I'm looking for a resource, how can I get involved?
Call me. Call me. Or email. Email's better. The person before me in this role was one of the co-founders. His name's John Osborne. And what I really learned when taking over this position is that he was really a conduit to connect people to other entrepreneurs, resources. And so it's kind of one of my jobs to become that for people. So when they come through the doors of the Harbor, I can send them in the right direction if we don't have the program that they're looking for, or they're not at the right stage for the harbor, point them in the right direction. Or if it's something that we can help them with, make sure that they have that at their disposal. And that goes for entrepreneurs who are nascent to people that are super experienced, just moved to town and want to give back. Really, so but I guess get in touch with email or whatever.
Expand a little bit more on that idea of just there being different levels of education and experience from the nascent entrepreneur up through sort of the more seasoned mentor, and just how each of those roles is really important within the ecosystem, and then just sort of the idea of collision being a key component behind what Harbor does.
Sure. What I've learned is that your high-level entrepreneurs who have great accomplishments in business more often than not want to give back, and they want to help other companies through those pain points. And the nascent entrepreneur is someone who either has an idea or says, hey, my buddy and I started this in our garage and we want to take it to the next level. And the guy who's a real entrepreneur that has been there wants to help that person because they see themselves in that person. And I mean, that's just as natural as it can be. And we love being the conduit for that relationship.
So tell us a little bit about this accelerator program that just concluded. The companies just pitched at. I saw somewhere cohort number 12, right? And you're gearing up for cohort 13. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so this was our 12th cohort. We're at about 100 graduate companies. And these guys have had a really interesting experience that, we were kind of going through our normal paces where they meet twice a week, and we provide them access to resources, whether that's a graphic designer, accountant, whatever the case may be that week. And then they also get access to a high-level entrepreneur that week to talk sort of around the subject that the expert will be talking about. And then coronavirus hit, and we had to quickly move to make sure that the program didn't stop or there was no pause. And kudos to these companies because they just, they took it like ducks to water. They were really, we were on Zoom a lot and working on our pitches, connecting with other high-level entrepreneurs, and these guys just really crushed it. And it showed tonight. They worked very hard on their pitches, and I think they all did a tremendous job. Sure.
Talk a little bit more about just sort of what they would learn in terms of curriculum, and then also sort of the role of mentors in the program.
Sure. So, you're talking about lessons like who is your customer, how to best sell your product, web development, and the pitfalls and to that, and things to know and to avoid. And then a curriculum is really built from companies that are idea stage to possibly almost ready for seed. You have to take a curriculum and bend it to all of those companies. But that's sort of what we do in that front, and then connecting them with a team of entrepreneurs. So we're lucky to have an environment where we have 30 or 40 entrepreneurs that want to give back to their community. And when these programs come around, they volunteer to be on the team that, they get to pick which company that they support. And then they're with them every step of the way through the 14 weeks. They meet monthly at the harbor. They meet outside for coffee. The entrepreneur in an ideal relationship is going to say, hey, nascent entrepreneur, go out and do A, B, C, D, and call me back and let me know how it went. And then when he does that, he says, all right, now go do E, F, G, right? And that's sort of the relationship, and it's really strong.
That's great. All right, well, you've whet our appetite, so why don't we?
Did I do my alphabet right back there? I did, right?
I'm sure you did great. Yeah. Yeah, so why don't we bring back some of these founders, these graduates, and get a chance to ask them some questions about sort of what they were expecting when they showed up at the harbor on day one, and what their feelings are now. And so let's bring those guys back to stage. All right, welcome back, guys. So we were just chatting with Daniel about what the harbor is and what an entrepreneurship center does, and then specifically about what an accelerator is. And you guys were in a 14-week program, is that correct?
15.
15 weeks, okay. So 15 weeks of curriculum, education, mentor meetings, figuring out MVPs and customers and target audience and how to go to market and all of that fun stuff. So I tell you what, why don't we give you guys a chance to tell us a little bit about your companies so that we have a general overview of what you're working on right now. So we'll start with Ross and kind of go down the line from left to right. So Ross, and then Ben and Ethan, and then Amanda will round it out with you. And what I'd love for you guys to tell us is give us an overview of your company from the perspective of the problem that you were seeing, and then how you went about trying to solve that, and then the company that sort of evolved out of that. So Ross, can you give us a little overview on that?
Certainly. So I had a crazy medical incident. I'm not sure how much I've talked about it before, but it made me really reevaluate a lot of things. I was working at a sales job, and I had moved home to pay off my student loans. I looked myself in the mirror, and I decided that stand-up comedy was the career for me, and the only thing standing in my way was fear. So a lot of people talk about entrepreneurship and say, "Oh, you're very brave." Try setting your mind to, I'm going to go get bomb on stage for 10 years, and honestly, entrepreneurship is nothing compared to that. So I moved home. I was living in the middle of nowhere with my parents, and the closest open mics were in Atlanta, where my buddies lived. So on my hour-and-a-half drive every weekend to hit these open mics, I either had to saran wrap a pipe closed, or I had to mooch, or I had to bring more than I felt comfortable with driving in the South as things continue to be. So one day there's a function of my product called the Rook. One day a few buddies and I had a small amount of what we'll call product, and we came up with the perfect solution to it, a gravity bong. It's an amazing solution. Unfortunately, no one ever has the proper components. So my best friend and I, who I consider to be the smartest person I know, came up with the same light bulb at the same time. He went on to waste his time with machine learning and AI and all that stuff. But I continued straight on with my keychain. And if you think it's insane to sell all your things and prepare for a life in stand-up comedy, pivoting to a keychain model is something that none of your friends will immediately get behind, I assure you. So from there, we went straight into research. I knew I had a great idea. I knew that I knew nothing about the patent space, and so I went to researching. And if I can give one piece of advice to anyone, it would be, if you get a really good idea, tell nobody. Tell absolutely nobody for 6 or 7 weeks. Tell nobody. Because until you're ready to defend that idea, until you've thought about every single angle yourself and you felt comfortable with it, people will attack you out of fear of a ton of other reasons. But if you just keep it to yourself, that was my best friend. He pulled me, and when we came up with the idea, said, tell no one. And it was the best advice I'd ever gotten.
Ross, I completely disagree with that advice, but I respect it.
Give it a month. Give it 1 month.
So just to sum up, just to make sure everybody understands what the general product is, you have a portable party device via keychain, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Okay. So Ben and Ethan, you guys are up. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what you're seeing.
Cool. So I guess we started off as just passionate for 3D printing. About 3 years ago, my uncle got himself a 3D printer, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. He was able to make, well, probably more like 4 or 5 years now, but the ability to make anything from your home was huge. I thought it was just an awesome power that I wanted to harness over time. So I got myself a 3D printer last year, but I was frustrated because I could only print a certain number of filaments. And at the time, and this was before I was even thinking of making it a business, but at the time, I also wanted to play with lasers because I thought lasers are cool. So it started out as a passion, and I rewired the circuit board and duct taped the laser to the extruder head, and then I had a laser engraver. I would engrave some of my buddies' jewels, and that's when I first started thinking, okay, maybe like I can make a machine that makes some money. So I ended up actually paying off that machine by just laser engraving people's jewels, and that was awesome. So then I get to school, and a friend of mine saw what I was doing and said, "You should enter into the school's business school and try and make this into an actual business." So after a couple of days of thinking, I said, "Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea." And over the course of so that got us started with thinking about making it into a business. Then I met Dan, um, and we applied for the Harbor's Entrepreneur Center Business Accelerator, and that's how our product kind of evolved into what it is today. And our product today allows you to take print in any material. If you want to attach lasers to the machine, you can attach lasers to the machine. If you want to attach a CNC mill to the machine, you can do that. Basically, anything you want to attach to the XYZ plane, you can do, and we've made it easy.
That's awesome. And Ethan, for folks that might not be familiar with 3D printing, can you explain a little bit more what Ben's talking about in terms of what a filament is and what kind of role that plays in 3D printing?
Sure. So what happens with 3D printing is you take a very large roll of filament, and what filament is it's pretty much like a plastic. They come in different shapes, sizes, colors, anything like that. So you take the filament and you run it through a very hot piece of metal per se, and it melts the filament to an extent and it lays it down. So you go one revolution laying it down, and then that's how the 3D object gets built.
Awesome. So the filament is sort of the material that's used to build whatever is 3D printed.
The filament is key.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep. And then
All right.
I just wanted to point out.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out real quick, like, we don't have backgrounds in 3D printing. We're both biology majors. So if anyone's watching and they have a passion, but they don't necessarily have the proper education behind them, like, don't let that stop you. Your passion is your passion. If you can make your passion a business.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so Amanda, tell us the problem that you were experiencing, and what you've done to solve that problem.
Yeah, I'll definitely add on to what Ben was saying about background having no significant influence on your future. I have a biology degree and worked in healthcare for a few years before being able to have the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And after my youngest went to kindergarten, I began driving for rideshare as a part-time gig. I was thrust directly into a multi-billion-dollar tourism industry here in Charleston, and quickly noticed that the travelers coming in and out of our city were having luggage struggles, lugging their bags all up and down the streets and into restaurants and into shops. So I used my rideshare experience and culminated a lean business plan that allowed us to provide daily luggage storage for travelers with the convenience of pickup and delivery. So we aim to bridge that awkward span of time between lodging accommodations and flights so that guests can maximize their time on vacation without the struggle of their luggage.
Nice. So if you have to check out of your accommodations at 10 a.m. in the morning, but your flight's not till 8 p.m. and you want to enjoy the city, you don't have to lug your luggage around with you. You have somebody that can safely secure it and bring it wherever you need it to be before you hop on your flight.
Exactly. Have the convenience of meeting your bags directly at the airport at the end of the day. Couldn't be more simple.
Awesome. So Amanda, to follow that up, I know part of your experience was that you talked to a lot of folks in your rideshare experience about this idea, and that the idea is that a market validation is so important when you're starting any business, right? Because a lot of times people think, oh, this is a great idea, but they might not be talking to their audience about it. They might not be sort of asking, hey, are other people experiencing this problem? If so, is this a viable solution for it? If the answer to that is yes, then would they be willing to buy something, whether that's a service or a product that I'm offering?
Totally.
So can you talk a little bit about that process, just your market validation?
Yeah, definitely. Luckily for me, I was able to have direct access to who I would consider my target market. People that are staying in vacation rental properties that didn't have access to a front desk or concierge. And I did utilize opportunities where I came across passengers who were lugging their bags or loading my van up to go around the corner, and inquired with them about all of those things: price points, security options, kind of getting feedback on what they thought would be good options for their luggage. And using that information, I was able to really create that lean business model based around exactly what the customers wanted: convenience, affordability, and reliability.
Awesome. So really able to get some feedback from the folks that would be using that service and be able to implement that into the business directly. Ben,
Yes, indeed.
and Ethan, I know that you guys are ramping up to start production on your 3D printers, and that you have a plan to be dispersing those in some various locations to be able to offer sort of like a beta product to those folks at a more reasonable price point, and then also be able to get some feedback. So can you tell us a little bit about your market validation process and what you guys plan to do there?
So our initial plan is to build a set number of machines, and we're going to target 10 different locations. And at those locations, we're going to give them a demo product for a 30-day trial. And then after the 30 to 60 days, however long that may be, they will have the option to purchase the machine at a very good discount, or they can return the machine. And in exchange for having the machine for the free demo, we'll receive a testimonial that we can put on our website.
Awesome. So you'll be able to get some feedback and just see what's working, what people are really liking, maybe some features that they'd like to see in the future, that type of thing. Cool.
Exactly.
And then,
exactly.
Ross, I know that you've had some frontline experience as well in sort of testing out your party device. That you spent some time in a vaping shop. Is that correct?
We'll call it a glass shop.
Okay. All right. So you were able to, again, sort of be on the front lines there, talk to your potential customers who then became your actual customers.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit to that about how you were able to see what your customers were looking for, and then to follow that up, and we're going to come back around to Ben and Ethan on this end as well. Can you tell me a little bit, Ross, about sort of your unique way that you decided to get the product made? Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs who have an idea, especially for a product, something that you can hold in your hand, the manufacturing process can be really intimidating to them. And you sort of used a creative way around that, and that's sort of linked to what Ben and Ethan do. So can you talk a little bit about your market validation, and then sort of your idea, how you were able to inexpensively go to market with your first product?
Certainly. So after I had made the product or had plastic, we'll talk about it. If you want to find an answer to something, you're going to have to hunt it down. There's not going to be a Google search for everything. Eventually there will be. Luckily, we're in kind of a time where we can still learn some stuff, but the only way that I could test whether or not people would buy what I wanted to sell at the price that I wanted to sell it, and would use the functions and which functions to lean into first. There are just, so you have to be, after you have a solidified idea and you're ready to defend it, you've got to put it in front of a bunch of people. You can't hold back and say, oh, like you've got to test every single assumption that you make. And that's what a startup is. There's a ton of assumptions. I think people will buy this. I think this price is going to work. I think this is my market. And then your job is to check yourself with experience. That's the best way. Listen, I've been on that path. I've tried that exact same thing. It's fool's gold. It's not the real horizon. This is the horizon. And sometimes those people are wrong, and sometimes those people are spot on, which is huge. I would say in the harbor, success stories are anecdotal. Failure stories are the ones that I'm interested in, because those are very common. We have a lot of commonalities. So I was very, very fortunate. I think serendipity is a pretty powerful word, but 2014, 2015, when I came up with this idea, which, side note, this stuff does not happen overnight. I've been working on this daily since then. Since that time, 3D printing started taking shape, and all of a sudden the same CAD, the same designs that you need in China, you can actually have and print in America in just plastic parts. So how far away from your face, how deep the bowl, how wide it needs to be in order to open a beer bottle. And I will call myself a productive paranoid person, but I actually, when I was doing this, I used Fiverr, and I would send the Rook is half plastic, half metal. So I would send the metal parts to one designer, kind of like True Kathy and Chick-fil-A. And I'd send the plastic parts to another designer. And of course, they never fit right. So I'd spend another $3 in editing and whatever. But I don't recommend that way by any stretch. That's just our story.
Awesome. Thanks. And I think that brings up a good point as well. I think entrepreneurship in general is a lot of elements. I think it's good ideas. I think it's listening to mentors. I think it's education. I think it's perseverance. I think a lot of it is serendipity, that there is some luck involved. And I think that's a really humble thing to just kind of point out, that a lot of successful business people, they are wise and they've had great ideas and they've had great teams around them to build the product. But there's also been some great serendipity and some good timing along the way as well. So going back to sort of the manufacturing question, Ben and Ethan, you guys are doing something a little bit unique in the fact that you're going to be 3D printing your 3D printers. So can you talk a little bit about that and why you're doing that? And then can you also talk a little bit about the device that you're creating to be able to fit onto a 3D printer to be able to print different filaments regardless of the machine?
Yeah, for sure. And I think our process is unique today, but it's going to become the standard less than 10 years. The ability to make anything from your home is a powerful concept, and the technology is here. So that means you can come up with an idea and you can just make it. You don't have to send it off to a professional manufacturing facility. You can just make it in your kitchen if you want, or on your desk, wherever you want to make it, wherever you set up your desktop 3D printer, you can just make it. The beauty is there's almost infinite numbers of different materials that you can 3D print. There's soft plastics, hard plastics, carbon fibers, Kevlars, electrical, transparents. The number or the type. The question shouldn't be how many filaments are there. The question is, when will every material be 3D printable? And that's kind of what led us into our universal adapter. Our universal adapter allows, so the problem within 3D printing is the nozzle. Can the nozzle support the material that you're trying to print? Our universal adapter is set up to allow for any kind of nozzle you want to put on there, thus allowing you to use any type of material.
Running these Zooms and shoot all day.
Awesome. So this will allow people to be able to fit this on whatever 3D printer they've got and exponentially expand what they're able to print.
Exactly. We're building our own machines, but we're also creating the universal adapter to be universal or to be adaptable with current 3D printers on the market. So we'll determine it, evolve your printer.
Nice. So Daniel, can you talk a little bit to just some preconceived notions in terms of what people tend to expect when they're coming into an accelerator? And then also talk to the things that people might be a little bit nervous about, a little bit fearful of, just kind of walking into that realm, just things that you've seen past couple of cohorts that people might be like a little bit trepidatious about, that we could maybe just sort of put some people at ease about if they're considering applying for an accelerator in their own town?
Sure. I think one of the pieces is, it might be counterintuitive to what Ross says. It's, you got to put this idea out there and you got to put it to work at some point. And that means you're going to have to tell people about it and you're going to have to share the intimate secrets of it. It's sort of, your group sort of becomes like a family. And you have to be willing to lay it all out there, or you're not going to get what you need to out of the program. And I would say that for the most part, in both of the cohorts that I've been a part of, they have done that. And I think that the people that do it the most get the most out of it. And so, probably a preconceived notion is everyone's not out there to steal your idea. Most people are far too busy to do something like that. They've got their own crap going on. And then when you're sitting there with someone who is at the same stage as you and has the same lack of knowledge as you, lay it all out there, man, because there's no tomorrow. There's no 14 weeks after this. There's no curriculum after this. I'd say that's a big piece. I think that there's a lesson to be learned about the valuation of your business that nascent entrepreneurs may not understand. And I don't think you get it until you go through something like this, and we're pushing you to make sales. We're pushing you to pivot if you need to. We're pushing you to get your MVP out there in the world and get that data. I think that you really have to do that to really know where you stand, to value your business, and to understand what type of investment you're looking for, when you get to that point.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. I think vulnerability is something that doesn't always come in all environments. When you're in entrepreneurship, there's a lot of times where you're sort of faking it till you make it, and you're trying to present yourself in the best light possible. And so I think one of the things that I found really, really valuable in my cohort class in Business Accelerator was it was just a safe place to be able to ask questions. And then there were people in the group, that you might have one entrepreneur in the group that was really, really great, skilled at sales and marketing, and another person that was really great in terms of financial talent or skills. And so if you could kind of just join those skills together, that just everybody benefited from that. It looks like we've got some questions coming in. Let's see. I'm going to take one here from Jen Wong. It says, looking back, is there anything that you guys would have done differently? So Ross is shaking his head. So yeah, feel free. Amanda, why don't we start with you? Is there anything that you would have done differently along the way? Maybe either in the accelerator or just as your business formed in general?
Yeah, totally. I think that this kind of touches on a lot of what you guys were just reflecting on, with having that trusted team to get your idea out there. If I could do anything differently, it would have been to start building that team and looking for those resources earlier. I had this great idea, didn't know how to get it started, kind of felt like it was bigger than myself, and I held on to it for a long time because of that. And if I could change anything now, I would have just gotten started with pursuing this into a business sooner.
Awesome. Anybody else? Thoughts on that?
I failed a lot. I failed a lot in ways in which I didn't fail, but failing is inevitable. You can't run into the dark of the unknown without banging your knee on something. So I'm still here. I'm still happy. And butterfly effect stuff. I mean, even if you somehow get a business and you get $500,000 in a crowdfunding campaign, good luck. I think that if you don't have that business experience, which is mostly failures, it's going to be a tougher road than you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that personally. You fail so many times, and you have so many people tell you that that's dumb, that's a dumb idea, and it happens. It happens. But it's important. It's important. So I wouldn't change the road that we've traveled. If there was anything I would do differently, is read more books. Just read more. It allows you to live through other people's failures without actually having to fail, which is invaluable.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
some value in failure and some value in not having to experience that failure yourself.
Yeah, it's learning without having to fail yourself. Hey, Daniel, we have a question here for you from the folks that are watching. So this one from Grant says, how many do you offer in each cohort? And so how many companies do you accept, and why?
We accept around 8 companies on average. I think we've done a few of 6. We have between 30 and 40 applicants, and bring them in through a series of interviews. Audrey has been on those panels before. And then we whittle it down from applications to interviews and settle on the 8 companies that we think we can best affect. And that's a design of quality companies, but also we want to make sure that we get everyone the amount of mentors that we think.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Don't want to overdo it.
Daniel, to follow up on that question, if an entrepreneur were thinking about the accelerator, but they weren't quite sure if they were at the stage where they were ready yet, would you encourage them to apply and maybe come in for an interview if they got selected for an interview? Anyway, have you seen companies that have maybe come and applied a couple of times and maybe not gotten in first round of interviews, but had some success down the road?
Yeah, in my experience, we've had a couple of companies apply more than once, and they were in consideration both times, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Yeah, I would have anyone apply for the program that had an idea and was willing to do the legwork to do it. I would an interesting example is Ben and Ethan there, who did their interview, and I was really pushing hard for them because we're Citadel brothers, I guess. And I was saying, oh no, these are the guys. And Patrick Ryan, our co-founder, said, all right, I want to see X, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to see X, Y, and Z in whatever it was, 3 or 4 days. And they turned around and they did it.
Nice.
And I was like, see, I told you these are the guys. And we had a social circle from this cohort was in the same boat. We said, we want to see an MVP over the weekend, Monday. And they did it. They turned around and they did it. I said, okay, these are the guys, because they've done that. They've put that first foot forward, and we're like, okay, we can work with it. Yeah, anyone, please apply, and we'll shepherd you in that direction.
All right. That's awesome. We're running just up to time. So Audrey, if you want to take us through our rapid fire exercise, let's do that and say goodbye to all these fine folks.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining us and sharing a little bit about your journey, and maybe just giving a little bit of insight to some folks who might be considering an accelerator. And we're going to wrap things up with a rapid fire session. Looks like we just lost Amanda. See if we can get her back. So the idea of a rapid fire session is that it's rapid. So we will be asking each of you a succession of, all right, Amanda, you're back. Back with us, Amanda.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's okay. That's the
magic.
Sorry about that.
The joy of life.
Exactly.
So we're going to wrap things up here with rapid fire questions. So Richard and I are going to go back and forth. So he's going to ask a question, which everyone will answer. Then I'm going to ask a question. Everyone will answer, and so on, for about 6 questions or so. You have 5 seconds to answer. Don't overthink it. They're short questions.
Yeah, so let's do the ordering so we don't talk over each other. We're going to go Daniel, Ethan, Ben, Ross, and Amanda. and then we'll hit the next question. You guys ready? All right. Windows or Mac?
Sounds good.
Pardon me?
Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Ethan. Ben.
Windows.
Mac.
Amanda?
Windows.
Windows is the correct answer. Next.
All right.
I'm a Windows. Audra, what are you?
Mac 100%, buddy. And you stole my question.
Mac.
All right. Next question up. Beach or mountains? Beach or mountains, guys?
Beach.
Mountains.
Beach.
Beach.
Amanda?
Beach.
Daniel?
Beach.
100% beach.
Ooh, beach. For me too. Beach.
All right.
We live at the beach.
What are you, Audra?
Oh, beach 100%. I grew up a couple blocks away.
Haha.
Leave me alone.
Think we all agree. Favorite fruit? Go.
Strawberry.
Steak.
Chocolate.
Banana.
Did you say steak?
Yes. Oh, I thought you said food. Favorite.
Oh, fruit. Favorite fruit is steak, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure first.
Steak is the fruit. All right. Let's go pineapple.
Apples.
Banana.
Peach.
I'm going to say orange.
You're going to say orange? See, I'm conflicted. Watermelon, peach, but also just because it's weird and odd, peppers are a berry. Next, Audra.
All right. What is your favorite app right now? What app do you use the most?
I use an app called the Dynasty Dominators for Dynasty Fantasy Football.
Thank you guys so much.
That's very unique. All right.
Definitely TikTok.
Reddit.
TikTok? Reddit?
Notes.
Facebook.
Slack.
All right. Yeah, I probably hop on the Slack train too right now. We've been using a lot of Slack lately.
All right. Is that it? Are we out of questions? Or
One more.
one more. First place you're traveling to after the world stops burning. Go.
Greenville, South Carolina.
All right.
Hey, you're visiting us.
Maybe.
Ben and Ethan, what do you got?
Italy.
Italy.
I'm happy where I am, honestly. I'm not traveling.
Good answer.
Hey,
Ross?
bud. Nice.
Barcelona.
Sorry?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Amanda.
New York City.
New York City. Give me a shout. I'll come down. Audra?
All righty.
Yeah, I'm gonna go exotic and say maybe like South Africa.
South Africa. Nice.
Nice.
I'm going to be doing the road trip across the U.S. and first place I'm flying is Hawaii. Then New Zealand, then Australia. That's the order. And the rest of the world. Let's go.
All right, last question, completely unrelated to tech or entrepreneurship or business. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Why not both?
Oh.
Cats.
Cheating.
Cheating. Yeah, cheating.
Dogs. What?
I'll take cats.
Dogs.
I'm gonna go dogs too, although I like them both.
All right.
So I, again, just want to say thank you to everybody for taking the time. And I want to encourage everybody to go check out these founders and these companies. So starting with Ben and Ethan and going down to Ross and Amanda. First of all, I want to let everybody know that these are not only just a select group of founders from this cohort, but the winners of the pitch event. So these guys have not all just done an amazing job just completing the cohort, but within the cohort are standouts in and of their own right. So guys, if you could just go down and let people know your website or your Facebook page, or the easiest way to get in touch with you if they have further questions. Let's start with Ben and Ethan.
All right. Our website's www.evolve3d.us. I encourage you guys to email me. I saw a bunch of questions that weren't answered yet, like book recommendations, stuff like that. If you email me, I'll email you back for sure.
Perfect. Can they do that on the website without giving your email details away on a live stream? Let's not do that.
Yeah. Just okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal. It's been at Evolve 3D.
Okay, you're about to get a lot of emails in your inbox. That was great. All right, Ross, how can people hit you up?
TheRookUSA.com or Instagram or Facebook, TheRookUSA, where we're from.
Awesome.
RookUSA.com.
We're in the U.S. right now. Is that what you're telling me? Excellent. All right. And Amanda, you're up. How can people get in touch with you, man?
Yeah, so it's real simple. You guys can find me on social platforms, Instagram and Facebook at Charleston Bag Valet. And you can also find my website easily at charlestonbagvalet.com.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you to Daniel Stern, Amanda, Ross, Ben, and Ethan. All of you guys have done amazing work. Congratulations on finishing up your cohort, and best of luck in all of your endeavors as you go forward.
Thanks, Audra.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Daniel, you're still here. We're going to real quick have you tell us a little bit, remind everyone about Harbor Entrepreneur Center and where they can find you guys.
I was going to sleep here. Yeah, so we are Harbor Entrepreneur Center all over platforms. HarborEC.com is the website. My LinkedIn, please hit me on my LinkedIn, Daniel Stern. I get a lot of stuff there. But we're on everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Not TikTok. That's not me. But
dance routines yet?
Pardon me?
No dance routines yet?
My kids aren't old enough yet. As soon as they are, I'm sure I'll be on that. But
we'll work on some choreography in our off time. Hey, Richard. Also, another thing is that you should know that Daniel Stern is both a talented singer and rapper. So I think that we should bring him back on a future live stream for some sort of rap battle.
I know a couple of folks running through my head right now. I'm generating that list, so we will put
Daniel,
you up.
Would you be down? I just totally put you on the spot. Would you be down for that?
Oh, I can't hear you. I think I went on mute. I'm not sure.
All right, cool. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time, Daniel, and for sharing and for leading this awesome group of founders. I know what a key part that you have played in their journeys. And so, thank you for standing in that gap for them. And thanks for being here with us tonight. Late night after a long 15 weeks. So we appreciate your time.
Well, it's
for all that you do.
My pleasure. And Audra's she's the one. She's big time. Big time.
Well, you're too kind, bud. All right. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
Bye. And there were two.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Since we're sharing things and how to get in touch with people, Richard, should we tell the fine folks who are on the stream how they can find out more about Yoink Media here?
Yoink Media. Yes. Come find us at our website, Yoink Media. What are you pointing at?
Figuring out in the stream where to point.
Yoink Media is at yoinkmedia.com and on all social media, including TikTok, I think. We don't have anything, we don't have anything on there, but we have one. Sorry?
The team has to work on some dance routines?
That's it. It's we're creating the Yoink dance. But all social media at Yoink Media HQ. Come hit us up, check us out. We stream live to Facebook and YouTube. So definitely follow us on there, on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube for all future content and all this great stuff. Listening to all these stories is really inspiring to me.
Awesome. Should we try the high five via the window screen?
Oh, man. You're there. It's hard because it's mirrored. Ready?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Oh my God, you what?
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
This is us checking out. Cheers.